and futures for tonight's action. Bettor Sports Betting wants to know what picks you're playing tonight. Tell us in the live chat on YouTube, Twitter, and the Bettor Sports Network app. This is Bettor Sports Betting with Fantasy Alarm's Dan Servodidio.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome in here to the Bettor Sports Betting Show on a Football Friday. We got NFL Week 1 to break down. Going to be a lot of football picks from me and Howard Bender on today's show. Thanks for joining in here on a Friday. What's up, Howard? You ready to talk some football here?
I'm always ready to talk some football. Please believe me. Last night with the Chiefs Lions, I had Lions plus 5.5. Even though the line went down to 4.5 there. I also had the under, and that hit. The only thing that kind of burned me was in a confidence pool, a pick'em confidence pool. I had the Chiefs winning that one outright, but obviously I wasn't going to lay any action on that money line. It was like minus 218 or something like that around kickoff. So felt good about the first game of the season, Lions and the under, and I'm ready to get back at it, man. We got a whole slate of games to look at.
I love it. We're both starting out good here because, yesterday's show, I gave out the Lions points as underdogs, so thankfully that cashed. Gave out David Montgomery's rushing yards prop. That cashed. Missed on Sky Moore's receiving yards. He was held catchless last night. The drops for the Chiefs were just getting bad at a certain point. It was very costly, and Moore had a couple drops. He had like a long completion that was called back. So whatever, you hit, you win some, you lose some, but we both win a couple to start out the season. And we trying to give you guys some winners all season long on these Friday shows, going through all the week's games. We will get to, we still got some baseball tonight, and we all want to get some action on tonight's games. We'll give out both some MLB bets for Friday night. But we got to start with NFL. We'll go through. We each have some game bets. We'll get to some player props too on today's show. Let's start out with our big game bets though for Sunday's slate. So I'll let you kick things off wherever you want to go. The board is yours to start with any game you want to start.
The board is all mine. All right. Well, usually I'll say this. I usually like going with dogs, and I had 3 dogs all set and lined up for this show. And I looked, and the first thing I saw was one of your picks, and I was like, well, Servo took that one. I don't want to have to double down on it, so I'll let everybody figure out what one you're talking about there. But I will start with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'll take them on the road minus 4.5 against the Indianapolis Colts. I don't know exactly what to expect from Anthony Richardson. Can he keep this game close? Yeah, I mean, it's possible. But the backfield is in complete disarray, whether you bring in Zach Moss back or not. I mean, Deion Jackson is okay, but I like the Jacksonville Jaguars defense, and I think that they can do enough to contain the Indianapolis Colts offense while Trevor Lawrence and company do their job. So minus 4.5 here for the Jaguars. I'm very bullish on Trevor Lawrence. I'm in there right now. So I'll take the Jags, and that's going to be my only favorite for this show.
Okay, I like that pick. I'm glad you threw it in there because I'm also on the Jaguars. That's a good one. I'll be throwing their money line and probably some parlays too because I just think there's no way they're losing this game.
Oh, wait, careful.
I'm behind it. I don't want to jinx it at all, obviously. But that's the thing on these shows when we give out picks. It's like you got to be immune to any possible jinxes, I think. Unless you and me are agreeing on every single over/under win total or every single pick. But I don't think that's the case. All right, well, I'll throw out. Maybe this is the one you agree with. The Steelers. Is this the underdog? Okay.
I was all set to put that in there.
Well, I'm glad you agree here because as soon as I saw, going back a couple weeks now when Week 1 lines came out and things started shaping up, the Steelers as home underdogs in Week 1, give me that all day long. I mean, this is disrespect for the Steelers here and Mike Tomlin. Going back to, since Tomlin's been in Pittsburgh as home underdogs, 16-4-3 against the spread is Tomlin as a home dog. And you're getting them week 1 here at home. Plenty of time to prepare, plenty of film on Brock Purdy now to figure out how this veteran defense can kind of frustrate him, force him into some turnovers. I'm all aboard this one. And Tomlin's Steelers teams, by the way, overall as underdogs, not just as home underdogs, 64% cover rate against the spread too. I love that the Steelers, played some of their starters on offense in the preseason to get clicking with Pickett and Pickens, Deontay Johnson. I think the offense can be ready to go. I'm looking for Pickett to take a step up in year 2 as well. And the 49ers defense, I know Nick Bosa just signed that big contract. I do wonder how many snaps he actually plays in this opener. What his conditioning is. Maybe they kind of limit him on bringing him on, third downs for the most part. But I think that just has to downgrade the 49ers defense a little bit as well. And then the other, just kind of the sweetener on top here, Kyle Shanahan in week 1 with the 49ers, 1-5 against the spread in his week 1 game. So give me the Steelers at home. I'll probably sprinkle some money line on them too, but give me the spread. You're giving me points plus 2.5, minus 110 on DraftKings. I'll take it.
You know what else I find incredibly interesting here about this game is the over-under. It's at 41.5 right now. It seems very, very low for two teams that, you're talking McCaffrey, Debo, Brandon Ayuk. On the other side, you're talking about Pickett to Pickens. You're talking about Najee Harris. You're talking about Deontay Johnson, Pat Freiermuth. George Kittle on the other side. So you've got all of these weapons, these fantastic weapons, and yet such a low game total. So that's Vegas telling you that these defenses are for real. You are going to have to pay attention to them. And I think that, with it being as low as it is, what do they think? That the 49ers defense is going to shut down the Steelers? I don't think so. I think that they're looking at this game as being like a fairly close game, like a 20-21 sort of a game. Just kind of sits right in there. Maybe it's like right around 41, 42 points. And if you're talking about a 1-point differential here, I want to be on the side of the Steelers. And I'm getting, not just getting the 2 points, but give me that extra hook too.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Anytime there's a lower total like this, you want to be on the underdog side of things, because trying to root for a favorite to cover in a low-scoring game is rough, especially if you're watching it live. Better Boss chiming in also on YouTube saying he likes Steelers money line. Thanks, man. Love that. We're on the same page there.
There you go. That's the mush right there. He even apologized for being a mush on the other days on Wednesdays, and I saw it in the chat. He was like, "Oh, I'm in on that too. Sorry for the mush," and I think I lost that bet.
Oh, what bet was that? Was it a baseball bet?
It was a baseball bet.
Yeah. Oof. All right. Well, we'll see. And
take
by the way,
easy, Better Boss. Take it easy.
One thing to keep in mind, and I was going to touch on this when I talk Eagles Patriots, but there's like weather concerns to kind of keep in mind for like a lot of the Northeast and from like DC area and on up. Rain, thunderstorms expected around the whole Northeast, so that could play a part in this game at Pittsburgh. So keep that in mind. Maybe that keeps it lower scoring. And Brock Purdy in bad weather, who knows?
Brock's a saint. He's a saint.
No, he's a 49er. He's not a saint.
No, that's right. Dorothy Mantooth. She was the saint.
Dorothy. All right. Where else are you going here, Howard?
I'm going to go to the Battle of Ohio, right? I'm going to talk about the Browns. I'm going to talk about Cleveland. I'm going to talk about the fact that I don't think enough people are talking about Cincinnati's defense and how many players they actually lost, not just on the defensive line, but they lost both their safeties too. And so they've kind of revamped things. The offense looks fantastic. Who doesn't love that offense? But you know what, man? You give me the Browns. You give me those 2 points with them. Nick Chubb's going to be running the hell out of the football. And I'm like, really, I'm a firm believer in both Nick Chubb and I think Deshaun Watson is going to be able to do enough just to kind of keep it close, keep pace, possibly even Cleveland winning this one at home. As a home dog. Again, you said it before, home dogs week 1.
Yeah.
We love those guys. We really do. So, give me the Browns and give me those 2 points. And again, I just want to see this one stay super close. It's a 47.5 over under, which is high, but I do think that both of these offenses can definitely put up points both on the ground and through the air.
Yeah, I like this one too. The home underdogs, especially in a divisional matchup. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but that's like a pretty good success rate against the spread as well. So that's always a good one to pick. And you didn't even mention, but Joe Burrow's calf injury is still just a looming thing. I know he's probably going to play. We don't know for sure yet, right? But we assume he's going to play.
Dude, he just signed that big ass contract. He's going out there. He's playing.
But you got to assume he's going to be a little limited, not like his elite, self. So I like that call on the Browns. I'll throw out, let's go to another divisional matchup. And Michael Rojas commented in the chat. He likes Bijan Robinson over 88.5 rushing plus receiving yards. I can get behind that because one of my picks, I'm going with the Falcons minus 3.5 at home against the Panthers. Give me the Falcons to win and cover here. It's a home game for obviously the Falcons, but it's a road divisional matchup right away for rookie quarterback Bryce Young, which I think is a rough spot for him. And a weird, not surprising, but bad track record for quarterbacks who are the number one pick, going back to their first start, going back to 2002, since Derek Carr. Derek Carr won his season opener, but since then, number one picks that were quarterbacks, 0-13-1 straight up, and 1-13 against the spread over the past 20 years. So this is a track record that's proven, it's dated, and I think Bryce Young's going to struggle here. And the Falcons, you and me are both high on this team taking a step forward here. We like their over on their win total. We like them to, be live in the NFC South. The offense, a lot of young but talented guys are all going to take a step up. Bijan Robinson is going to be a difference maker in this offense, in the whole league. And I have confidence in them getting a comfortable win. I'm not scared away from the 3.5. Obviously you wish it was 3 maybe, but I still think the Falcons win pretty easily here. And Frank Reich, Panthers' new head coach, has never covered in week 1 against the spread. 0-4-1 against the spread, and his teams have failed to cover by like 8 to 10 points. So this is a Falcons easy win for me.
So he's not due. Frank Reich's not due. I love that analysis.
Oh yeah,
he's
love the due analogy. Bryce Young is due to break the streak of first overall picks.
I was on 95.9 down in Atlanta this morning, talking Falcons football with those guys. Shout out to my boy Mark Aram for having me on. It was fantastic to sit there and really talk about what we can expect from the Falcons. I mean, listen, we all remember when you and I were on doing this show for the NFL draft, right? Somebody won a little money, a little something on Bijan Robinson being taken 8th overall. Why did that happen? It happened because the Falcons did all of their work.
I'm trying to point to you. It's this guy.
This guy. Falcons did all sorts of fantastic work through free agency and the trade market to really shore up their defense. So I like it a lot. Even with Jeffrey Okudah out with the ankle issue, I still think that they did a lot of great things, both on the offensive line and in the defense, in order to make this happen for the Falcons. So I like it. You're right. I mean, if you go to an offshore book, you can buy off that half point and get rid of it.
Yeah, or you could pay the juice on like an alt line on DraftKings or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't like that half point, which I always hate the half point. How many times have you ever been burned on the half point? It's way too often there. So I get that. I dig that. I'm going to stay with the South. Actually, you got the Atlanta Falcons. Let's talk about the Saints hosting the Tennessee Titans. I'm taking the Titans. I'm taking the 3 points. Road dog here. with Derrick Henry, one of the premier running backs. Now, I get it. I don't like that offensive line for Tennessee by any stretch of the imagination. But when you've got Treylon Burks and DeAndre Hopkins and Chigakonkwo running around in the secondary, you have to pay attention to them. Tannehill is good enough of a quarterback to be able to hit those guys. So you have to respect the passing game, which means that the Saints can't stack the box. And one of the things that we've seen also is that the Saints, they lost Marcus Davenport. The one guy that they've got sitting on their defensive line right now is Cameron Jordan. That dude is 34, and he plays like he's 84 at times because he's just got so much tread on the tire, so much mileage on him that it's very tough. So to have Derrick Henry just banging away like that on the defensive line, usually you don't like running against the New Orleans Saints. That's been the trend in the past. This year, I think it changes a little bit, and I'll take the Titans with the 3 points against the Saints. So, yeah, in the Superdome, no less. So, Saints can win. I don't care, but the Titans are going to cover.
Yeah, I like that one as well. I almost put the Titans as one of my underdog picks too, because Vrabel is a really good coach against the spread as underdog, and much better than compared to like when he's a favorite. So I think he's going to have his team ready to go. And I do think with Derek Carr in New Orleans, I think the offense could, get off to a little slower start, especially no Kamara. We'll see what Michael Thomas is, I guess, but I think Carr could have a little connection issues with his new receivers, at least to start the season. So, I like the Titans, a team it's been there. They know what they are on offense for sure.
Exactly.
Good call there. I'll go with I'll throw out the Eagles Patriots under 45, minus 110 on DraftKings. I mentioned the weather situation here. We might have thunderstorms in the area. We might have, there's 10 mile per hour projected winds for this game too. But either way, we were talking about this before we went live, and Bill Belichick is going to have his defense, his game plan ready to go to slow down Jalen Hurts and the Eagles offense. As much as I hate to say that as an Eagles fan, I do think Belichick's going to really frustrate the Eagles, and he's got plenty of film that he's been studying all summer long when this schedule came out, that I think he's going to really know what to do to kind of bottle up Hurts from beating him with his legs, limit A.J. Brown's explosiveness. And I think the Eagles might go for just more of a run-focused offense too, with the weather situation, and just kind of manage the game. And the Patriots on the other side are going to do the same thing. They bring in Zeke Elliott. They have a really good 1-2 rushing punch with him and Stevenson now. Mac Jones, obviously, just a game manager type of quarterback. I know Bill O'Brien's there to help him improve, but I still think in this first game against the really good Eagles defense that the Patriots offense will be limited as well. So I just like the overall under here. I think it's going to be a low-scoring, grinded-out game. Maybe first team to 20 points, 21 points wins it, and I'll take the under.
Yeah, I love this call here by you, not just because, you're an Eagles fan and you have that insight, but also just for the fact that, I recorded the DFS podcast, the NFL DFS podcast with John Impemba, and that's actually going to air. You guys can check that out right here on the Bettor Sports Network and Fantasy Alarm YouTube page at 7 p.m. Eastern. John and I break down the entire slate. We build a lineup at the end. But one of the things that we were talking about when we got to QBs was I do not want to pay up for a guy like Jalen Hurts, knowing that Bill Belichick has had this entire summer just to scheme against it. It doesn't matter what, what his his personnel is like. This is the mind of Bill Belichick really trying to clamp down, and that he's got some strong defensive personnel. So I like them to, kind of keep the Eagles, it's just not going to be a runaway. And, even if the Patriots don't score on the Eagles, I think that it's, the Eagles aren't going to like blow this game out. I think this definitely could be like a 20-10 game. Yeah. I definitely think so.
Yeah. And the other point with the Eagles offense side of things, none of their starters played together during the preseason. Jalen Hurts didn't play at all. A lot of their main offensive guys didn't play at all. And I do think that they're, the first half under you could look at for this one as well, because I just think it's going to be a slow, some hiccups. I know obviously this offense was elite last year, but I think, early on, Belichick's going to have his game plan ready to go. So I like your call of fading Hurts and DFS. And I almost threw out a couple, a prop or two on Hurts unders, because I do think, the books are kind of overcompensating for what he did last year, especially like his rushing yards prop is out there, above 40. I do think he could be a little bit, his stats won't be as good, but all right. So yeah, I guess we're in agreement on that one. So what else you got going tonight?
I'm going to go with, this one's going to buck the trend, because this one is not a popular pick by any means. And that's Tampa Bay, Minnesota. I'm going to take the under 45.5. Everybody's jumping on the over because Minnesota's defense, it was just so horrendous last year. And they really didn't do a whole lot to change up that personnel, right? I mean, I think they got rid of Cam Dantzler, in the secondary. But I mean, overall, they didn't really do a whole lot. What they did do was they got Brian Flores. And Brian Flores, to me, I mean, we saw what he did in Miami as a head coach. He was rock solid. And now as the defensive coordinator, which is his specialty in Minnesota, I think he can get more out of the personnel that he's got. Not to mention the fact that you're going up against a battered and bruised already offensive line for Tampa Bay. They lost their center, Ryan Jensen. Half their line is already banged up and hurt. You got Baker, I suck Mayfield, sitting there under center. That dude's atrocious. Right? Rashad White, how's he going to run behind that offensive line? It's just not going to work. So I don't see Tampa Bay really capable of putting up a ton of points here on Minnesota. I think Brian Flores is going to be able to help contain them. Mayfield doesn't really do anything for me on that front. So, I feel like on that front. And then if you're talking about Minnesota's offense, yeah, it's fantastic. Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, you got Jordan Addison. I think that their blocking scheme is a little wrong for their running backs, for Alexander Mattison. You can't, hybrid blocking schemes don't really work all that much unless you've got your personnel's got the physicality to do it. If you do power gap blocking, you want those big 300-pound behemoths that can just, smack people around and just push everybody, all over the place. But if you're going to hybrid it with some zone blocking, that means that these guys, these big bruising guys, need to also be able to move laterally. And that's not really a very smart thing. If you've got like a 300-pound guard trying to move laterally, that's how a dude blows out the knee. Just ask Mekhi Becton. So, I worry about the blocking scheme for the Minnesota Vikings. I don't necessarily know if Alexander Madison's going to get going. Yes, Kevin O'Connell also, he's just a very pass-happy guy, and Todd Bowles knows that. And Todd Bowles is a very defensive-minded guy himself. So I kind of feel like this game, I think Minnesota wins it outright. I don't think Tampa Bay puts up a lot of points. And when the scoring is going to be that one-sided, I'll take the under for that. 45.5, it's minus 110 on DK. I don't see why not.
I got to give you a round of applause for the breakdown of the Vikings blocking schemes. That is what, if people tune in here, or if you listen to Howard on the SiriusXM Fantasy Show or any shows that he's on, all the shows, this is the X's and O's that you come for, because Howard puts in the work of you actually gotta think about specific things with these teams, not just like, oh, their offense stinks or their defense is good. That's a good call. To keep things basic, though, I think the Bucs offense will stink. So,
so I mean, come on, Baker Mayfield. Mike Evans also. I mean, he's a little banged up. I mean, he got back to practice the other day, but I mean, he's still banged up too. So,
I saw people this morning are already trading Mike Evans to the Chiefs.
Right. Well, you know what? Daniel Jones restructured his contract. Right, freed up like $6 million for the Giants. That's a team that also needs a number one wide receiver too.
Yeah, and Darren Waller landing on the injury report today, might with a hamstring injury, might sit out this week one. It's already the Giants receiving core. Wan'Dale Robinson is also out already. This Giants receiving core is already dealing with injuries.
I got to stay
Not
positive. You know, my wife is a Giants fan,
Yeah.
and my social agenda is on Sundays is always contingent on whether or not the Giants win. So if the Giants are gonna, if everybody's hurt and the Giants are gonna lose to the Cowboys, no less, it's gonna be a cold. I might have to stay in Vegas just for Sunday and not show up at home for the weekend because she's gonna be a grouchy bunny.
Those are going to be sad tissues on Sunday night, huh? All right. My last pick I'll throw out. I'm going with another underdog, and this also might be an unpopular play, but I don't care. The Texans. The Texans are going to cover this large spread against the Ravens. It's too big to ignore. 10 points in a week 1 game. I know it's a rookie quarterback. It's a rookie coach in DeMeco Ryans. But I just think this spread's too big. Week 1 underdogs of 8 or more points, going back to 2003, 25-9 against the spread. That's a 74% cover rate in this sample size. I know they're a road underdog. I still don't care. I think the Texans are actually going to be more competitive than people think, like early on in the season. While there's still some, new coach optimism. DeMeco Ryans, a defensive guy. I think the defense is going to be better than people think early on in the season. Stroud, a rookie quarterback on the road, is worrisome for me. I just laid out how Bryce Young on the road could struggle, but I think that the Baltimore offense on the other side, I need to see what they are for sure and how this all works with the new Todd Monken offense. It's a complete change in offensive scheme than what the Ravens have been for years under Greg Roman. And I just need to see it for a couple of games to see how Lamar Jackson's actually fitting in with an offense that's going to be, more pass heavy, presumably, and just a complete change from what Greg Roman was running there. And also just the overlying thing here is this is a classic look ahead spot for the Ravens because they're playing the Bengals on the road next week. Divisional matchup. Those are two teams that a lot of people are picking to be battling it out for first place in the AFC North. Maybe a little, second half, if they have a big lead, a comfortable lead, maybe they're kind of like taking their foot off the gas. It's a prime backdoor cover spot for the Texans to score late to kind of break everyone's hearts here. So give me the Texans plus 10 on the road in week 1.
I'll push back a little bit on this one here, right? Just so that we're not like in full, harmony, because I love this Ravens defense. I really do. When they picked up Roquan Smith last year, I mean, that was a game changer for them. Home game for the Ravens. Yeah, I know there's some questions about the offense and whether or not it's going to fit, Lamar Jackson's style, but I don't know, man. I think if Mark Andrews is there, I think that this offense is very, very capable because DeMeco Ryans, as much as I love him as a coach and a defensive-minded coach at that, I mean, the personnel is really, really bad. There's like minimal pass rush. The secondary is atrocious. They're going to be bouncing off the walls trying to cover, you got Zay Flowers, Odell Beckham, Rashad Bateman, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely. I mean, while all that's going on, Lamar, the running lanes for Lamar are going to open up really nice and wide as well. So, I feel like Lamar has himself a good day rushing and throwing. And I'll push back on the 10 points. I know. I mean, in all honesty, it's a no bet for me only because I hate betting, double-digit spreads normally. So, but I just think that Baltimore is going to whoop their asses. I really do. I think that this defense is going to scare poor little CJ Stroud.
All right. I guess we agree to disagree on there. I mean, I just think that a week 1 10-point spread is just too big for even though the Texans were terrible last year, obviously terrible, and the Ravens are a significantly step ahead in the NFL this season. Yeah, I'll just take those 10 points. Listen, the unpopular pick, the underdog pick is just, something that can't go overlooked. Sometimes it's the winning pick. Not saying it's going to win, but on yesterday's show, I gave out Nebraska as underdogs against Colorado because everyone's betting Colorado.
Right.
But I'll take those 3 points for Nebraska. But, who knows? We'll see. But we'll come back on Monday and see what happens here. All right. Got to remind you guys, if you haven't already, to go get the Fantasy Alarm All-Pro subscription. You can start a free 7-day trial for Fantasy Alarm's All-Pro subscription. Get all the Week 1 DFS content, the QB coach, running back coach, wide receiver coach, value plays, everything for all Week 1 is over there on Fantasy Alarm. Picks for betting, picks for DFS, everything. You get it for free with that free 7-day trial. Or get the subscription. You go to fantasyalarm.com/NFL. Also, my college football stuff, college football DFS for tomorrow. You can get that playbook that's up. Best bets for tomorrow, too. You can get all this stuff. Baseball for tonight, obviously. We go baseball DFS, MLB bets, too, for the All-Pro subscription. So definitely jump on this while you can before Week 1 gets underway here. All right, let's dive into some player props. Because we're going through our game bets, and maybe we're correlated on some of these with where we're liking some of these games to go. But let's go through these now. So, what is one of your player props for Week 1?
You know what? I just said it. It's Lamar Jackson over 50.5 rushing yards. I'm happy to take the over on that. It's -115 on DraftKings. Again, I think that a lot of people are thinking that he's not going to run as much because of this air raid offense. But I'm sorry, when he's rolling out and coverage is, tightening up on his receivers and he doesn't want to force anything, it's his natural instinct just to take off and run. So, over 50.5, it might be a little high for most quarterbacks, but I think he nails this one for sure. I was actually looking at his passing and rushing yards combined. He was at like 276.5 or something like that. Still seemed a little bit too much for me. So Lamar Jackson over 50.5 rushing yards. I like that.
Listen, my Texans bet could still cash, and this can cash as well in the same game. So I'm fine with it. I'll allow it. I'm going Drake London over 52.5 receiving yards, -115 on BetMGM. I think that he's going to really take another step forward. He had a solid rookie season, 866 receiving yards. But he really came on late in the year, came on strong, 95 plus receiving yards in 3 of the last 5 games to end the season, and also coincided with Desmond Ridder taking over as the starting quarterback. Was a favorite target for Ridder. He went over this line in 3 of those 4 games that Ridder was under center for the Falcons, seeing at least 8 targets in each game. And I think the Arthur Smith offense is now starting to take fully shape now. We saw what he did in Tennessee. He had a workhorse running back in Derrick Henry. He had a stud physical receiver in A.J. Brown on the outside. I think he has that. It's in its early stages, but you got Bijan Robinson now as the workhorse back. You got Drake London as the taller, physical, big-bodied receiver on the outside. And I think it's going to be a really good 1-2 punch of both guys doing work. So, and I also think the Panthers secondary is just kind of a weakness this season. So I think Drake London goes over this receiving yards prop.
In all honesty, I mean, like I said, I love the Falcons. I love what they've got going on there. I'm going to hold off on any Falcons receiving props until I see what Desmond Ridder does under center. I like him. I don't love him. And I think that, his backup Taylor Heineke is probably going to be a stronger passer. But until I see what this quarterback situation looks like and how Ridder looks under center, I have to pass on any props. It just makes me a little too nervous.
I get that. I do think if anybody, it would be London, in my opinion. Just, it's either him or Pitts catching passes basically in this offense. And I think Ridder might lean on London more so. So that's where I'm going. You have a pick, and I think Michael Rojas gave out earlier 88.5 rushing and receiving yards for Bijan Robinson. I think you could get on board with that with one of your picks, right?
Can I?
You have oh, you know what? I
Ah,
misread that. I misread that one.
looks like a different
You have a different
Robinson.
Robinson. I totally just assumed that was Bijan, but my apologies. My apologies.
You know what? Don't apologize to me. Apologize to Brian Robinson's mom who watches the show. All right, because I mean, let's face facts. So, Washington Commanders taking on the hapless Arizona Cardinals. For me, I'm taking Brian Robinson. I'm taking the over 57.5 rushing yards. It's minus 115 on DraftKings because I know that we're expecting Antonio Gibson to really step up with Eric Bieniemy's offense because, you know, everything that he brought over from the Chiefs, they love their pass catching running backs. However, Riverboat Ron, he's the guy who calls the shots. And so if we're sitting there in the second half and Washington has any kind of a lead over the Arizona Cardinals, what does Riverboat Ron want to do? He doesn't want to gamble. He wants to just run the clock out. He wants to hand the rock over to Brian Robinson. We saw that last year. You know, I actually covered funny enough, I covered a fantasy football draft done by a bunch of Major League Baseball players, right? From the old days of the Braves. And Brad Lidge won the league last year. And, you know, they have all these bonuses for carries and stuff like that. Who was his MVP last year? It was Brian Robinson. Why? Because they just kept giving him the football, you know, in the second half. The dude was getting 20 carries, 25 carries, and they were just kind of loading him up. So I think if they've got the lead, I think they just give it to Brian Robinson and just keep letting him run it out. Arizona's defense is terrible. 57.5 rushing yards. I'll take the over.
Yeah, I mean, I expect the Commanders to be playing with the lead here for sure. So I can get behind that one. That seems low, actually, for if you just kind of think about in general a lead running back for a favorite that's favored by 7 points right now, and should be winning this game easy. Yeah, good call on that one. I'll go Calvin Ridley over 62.5 receiving yards, minus 115 on BetMGM. Obviously, we haven't seen him play in over a year, but I think that him and Trevor Lawrence are going to get on the same page right away this season. We saw them connecting often in the preseason when the starters were out there for the Jaguars. I think that's a great sign that these guys are on the same page. And I'm just banking on Ridley going over this yards, 62.5. He had 60 plus receiving yards in 14 of his last 20 games. So that's going back to, 2020 season because he sat out all of last year and obviously was also hurt in 2021 for part of the year. So, but 14 of his last 20 games, he's had 60 plus receiving yards. And I see Ridley just kind of overall just being motivated to prove that he's back and should be mentioned among some of the top receivers in the league. So give me Ridley here over 62.5.
Well, I'm a big Calvin Ridley fan. There's no doubt about it. I'll definitely listen. I like it. I like it a lot. I think that the target distribution is going to be a little bit more spread out than most people think. I do think that Trevor Lawrence has a very good connection with Christian Kirk as well. But from everything that we've seen preseason wise, Calvin Ridley looks like he is 100% ready to go. So over 62.5. Yeah, I'll do it.
Michael Rojas throwing out another prop in our YouTube chat here. Mike Williams over 100. I'm assuming that's receiving yards for the Chargers there. What do you think about that one? Because I know you have a pick for a Chargers player, not Mike Williams, but you might be more in on Williams than the guy you're about to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting. Over 100 yards for Mike Williams.
That's tough. That's tough.
It is tough. It is tough because I want to see how Kellen Moore handles things. I know what his offensive scheme does. I know what it dictates. And for that purpose, it dictates a lot of Justin Herbert looking downfield, hitting the wide receivers, even possibly tight end Gerald Everett. So, that's what Moore wants Herbert to be looking downfield. He doesn't want him to be doing the old check down work. That's why I've got Austin Eckler under 4.5 receptions. I'm getting it for even money on DraftKings at plus 100. I don't think that what we're looking at, Eckler last year, 127 targets, but that was because it was Joe Lombardi's system, and we saw what kind of, targets and receptions Alvin Kamara used to get on the regular. But also that Justin Herbert was banged up with the rib injury. So, I'm a little more lukewarm on receiving targets for Austin Eckler. Still 100 yards for Mike Williams it's a lot. It's a lot. I know that Jalen Ramsey is out, but you're also going to probably see a lot of Xavier Howard working over Mike Williams. So, Michael, I can't get on board with that. I like it. You got moxie, kid. You got moxie. I like that. But I don't know if I can do that. But I can do Austin Eckler under 4.5 receptions. Let the fantasy community, piss and moan about that one for me.
Oh, he could still score, 2 or 3 times and return the fantasy value for the week. But maybe his passing receptions production work won't be as high this week. But yeah, I do think we got to wait and see how the distribution's laid out in a new Chargers offense. Even though we know all the guys in there, it's a new OC. So yeah, we'll wait and see on that. Give me AJ Dillon, my last prop for today. Give me AJ Dillon over 41 and a half rushing yards, minus 115 on BetMGM. I just think the Packers offense is going to go with just a run-focused approach early on, especially in this week 1, to get Jordan Love comfortable, to make sure he's comfortable running the offense, kind of managing, not turning the ball over, throwing downfield a lot. I think they're going to lean on Dillon and Aaron Jones in this one. But I do like Dillon's rushing yards prop over Jones right now, because I do think Dillon, just as the bigger bodied back, I feel like he might get more carries than he did last year, and more consistent work this season with Jordan Love there. When Dillon got double-digit carries last season, it was 12 games that he got at least 10 carries. He had 40-plus rushing yards in 8 of those 12 games. And in 2021, when he got 10-plus carries, he had 40-plus rushing yards in all 9 of those instances. So this is going back 2 years. When he gets the work, he's putting up yards. And I think he's going to get the work in this week 1. Also against the Bears, last 2 seasons, 4 matchups against the Bears, he's gone over 41 and a half rushing yards in every single game. All 4 of those, 93, 61, 71, and 59 were his rushing totals, and also got, double-digit carries. So he, got the motivation against the division rival also on his belt here. So give me AJ Dillon.
AJ Dillon. All right, listen, without Aaron Rodgers there, you definitely stand more of a shot. I remember watching Aaron Rodgers trying to shove AJ Dillon off the field last year and waving in Aaron Jones.
Exactly. It might go the other way around now.
It could very well go the other way. I like that. All right, I've got one more here. It's Kirk Cousins. It's over 1.5 passing touchdowns. It's minus 130, so there's a little juice on it. But, between Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson, Osborne, I just think that there are enough receiving weapons. Kevin O'Connell prefers a heavy pass volume there. So, Kirk Cousins over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I would do that. I'd do that for Trevor Lawrence too, to be honest.
Yeah, whenever there's a 1.5 line, I always like looking at the over, and vice versa. You kind of look at the under when it's 2.5 for quarterbacks, just because the 1.5 line is low for a guy like Cousins who could easily throw for 2 touchdowns. Interesting that you like the over there, but you are taking the under in that game.
Well, 2 touchdowns is only 14 points.
True. And it could be a 14-0 final. Who knows?
It certainly could be.
All right, so those are some week 1 picks for Sunday's game. Let's dive into baseball though, because we got a few minutes left here in the show. We got to give out some baseball picks for Friday night, because those are some bets that we could see cash tonight. I'll start things off here going with the Twins money line. It's Dallas Keuchel on the mound for the Twins. Obviously very risky, but his home road splits are pretty wild so far. He's been very good at home, like a 1-something ERA in his 3 home starts so far. Has got knocked around on the road though. So, but he's at home here. The Twins also just at home. First game back on a homestand following a road trip. They've now won 7 straight of those games when they're coming back from a road trip. So I like them to get another win here. The worry here is that the Mets offense is good against lefties over the past week, but I just having a little faith in Keuchel here. And also just in general, we got a Twins team that's still fighting, still trying to build a lead for the AL Central and lock that division down. Whereas the Mets are they're not playing for anything. It's just general vibes here. I think the Mets going on the road here in Minnesota, I don't see them winning. So I like the Twins there, minus 106 on FanDuel.
All right, the Twins. I mean, I'm not extremely confident in my baseball evaluations. I'm gonna put that as a qualifier.
You and me are tied into the NFL. I got college football in my brain, so yeah, we're trying to give out some picks to the people tonight, though, at least.
Yeah, and I will admit that I spoke to some friends of mine within the gambling industry and got some thoughts on this for them.
Okay.
That's why I listen. Like that's the thing. I'm not here to like just turn around and be like, yeah, these are all my picks and go ahead and bet them and you're gonna be raking in the money doing it. I want to be honest and upfront with everybody, right? My focus is definitely on the NFL, but yes, I'm still obviously paying attention very much so to MLB. But my betting, I've pulled back on my betting for MLB. September, it can be a tough month, for a lot of people. And I just want to kind of hold my bankroll for some fun stuff for the NFL. But I got some picks here. And I'm going to start off with the Seattle Tampa Bay. And I'm going to take the over 8 runs. Now, you've got George Kirby on the bump for Seattle, and on the other side of that game, you've got Taj Bradley. Now, George Kirby was great in August, or at least the beginning of August. But if you look at George Kirby's numbers over the tail end of August and here in early September, it's like a 6.34 ERA. So he's given up a lot of runs there. Tampa's fighting. And so I do have, some concern over Kirby's recent performances. Couple that with Taj Bradley, who, I mean, let's face it, he has been rough beyond belief. So, and Seattle's been white hot, here over like the past month. Their numbers have been great. So I know that some people think that it's going to be this, really hot pitchers duel because it's George Kirby and Taj Bradley, but I'll take the over 8. This was 7.5. Everybody started jamming that over. Ooh. So it moved up to 8. And I'm happy taking the over with that little safety of the push as well.
Yeah. And it's the money lines are minus 115 for the Mariners, minus 105 for the Rays. So should see it on both sides, the offense there. All right, I'll take an over too. Over 8.5 in Padres Astros. Also one where you might think it should be kind of pitching focused, pitching dominant. Blake Snell against Hunter Brown, but Hunter Brown struggled in the second half. Has a 5.44 ERA since the All-Star break. He's allowed at least 5 runs in 3 of his last 5 starts coming into tonight. And the Padres, kind of inconsistent offense, but doing well against righties over the past week. And their offense is averaging just about 5 runs per game over the last 10 contests. So I think they will get to Brown here. And then the Astros offense, elite against left-handed pitching, has been all year. Tops in the league over the past 2 weeks. And Blake Snell, I think, he's been really good, obviously, 2.50 ERA this year, but I think he's going to run into trouble against the Astros offense, especially on the road. Snell, in his career in Houston, 7.94 ERA in 4 career starts against the Astros on the road, and a 6.11 ERA in 7 career starts against the Astros. Just the guy that the Astros have gotten to him, back when he was with the Rays and has faced them sparingly when he's been in the NL, but I think the over here, over 8.5 is the way to go.
Okay. All right. Now I'm going to go crazy and I'm going to go with an under.
Whoa.
Right. Colorado, San Francisco. Ty Blach against Kyle Harrison, right? Not great pitchers, but let's face facts. They're also not great offenses right now either. Colorado's offense away from Colorado is just absolutely putrid. All right, nightmarish. Ty Block actually knows the San Francisco Giants park very, very well. He used to pitch for San Francisco. And yeah, so I think that Kyle Harrison can contain this god-awful Colorado Rockies lineup. And I think Ty Block can do the same thing with San Francisco. So it's under 8, minus 105 on DK. I'll take that. I think the over was like minus 112. So, Vegas is telling you it really could go either way here. So I'll take the under. And then again, having that, straight the 8 runs allows me the opportunity to push.
Yeah, I do think Kyle Harrison has another good start and a high strikeout one too. I looked at his strikeout prop too, 6.5. It's a little high, but he's been when he's he struck out 11 I think against the Phillies recently. Is a really high strikeout guy in the minors. So yeah, I like that call for him to have a good outing against the Rockies. My last pick is Trey Turner, tried and true, over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs, minus 140 on DraftKings. The guy's just on another level. Simply put, I mean, you just look back at his past month, the guy's on fire. He's hitting 373 over his past 15 games, hitting 347 over his past 30 games now. He's on a power surge, got 7 home runs over his past 7 games, 10 home runs over his past 15. The guy is on fire. He's been over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs now in 9 straight games tonight, coming into tonight, and 13 of the last 15 games too. He's back at home here, and he also just got activated off the paternity leave list, so he's got that dad power now working for him. Give me Trey Turner to do it again tonight, because this is a prop that just keeps cashing.
You want to talk about dad power? I'm just going to talk about power in general, okay? Matt Olson. I mean, this guy. Listen, I'm going to be a little braggadocious here, and I've got a friend of mine who can back this up. I've been in on Matt Olson since he was a rookie, since his rookie season, and I remember this. After his rookie season, a friend of mine came to me and said, I got to put my keepers in for my fantasy league. I'm down to either Matt Olson or Justin Smoke. And I was like, dude, protect Matt Olson. Keep Matt Olson. Love Matt Olson. Be happy with Matt Olson. He's not going to let you down. And since that time, I mean, he's always, every time Matt Olson hits a home run, this dude hits me up either on Twitter or text or something like that. Well, Matt Olson's has home run in 4 straight games right now. All right. And now he's taking on, wait. Who's the pitcher? Where is his name? Where is this dude's name? Oh, yeah. It's Mitch Keller. Mitchy. We're coming for you, pal. Matt Olson, the lefty against the right-handed Mitch Keller, who went through I think he went through like a 5-game streak where he gave up like 9 home runs. Right. Then he settled down a little bit. Then he got beaten up a little bit. And he settled down again. It's time to get beaten up. Matt Olson plus 275 on DK, baby, to hit that home run. Yum, yum. Give me some. Matty-O hits dingers.
Yeah, good. I mean, it's never a bad idea to bet against Matt Olson hitting a home run. You have him as the season-long home run champ, right?
I have him season-long home run for the majors, season-long home runs to lead the National League.
So he's 3 ahead of Ohtani right now and 5 ahead of Alonso. He's got to keep going here because those guys are obviously can heat up at any moment. Schwarber's still at 41 too, so he's 6 back.
Ohtani's got an oblique issue. Forget Ohtani. That dude's done. Done like dinner. Cooked.
Mookie Betts on fire, 38, but he also got hurt.
He just got hurt too. Mookie Betts. Sayonara.
So Olson's time to just build a lead and not look back. I like it. All right. We got to get out of here, but appreciate everyone tuning in here on a Friday. Giving out some NFL Week 1 picks and some baseball bets for tonight. But if you missed any of it, go back and listen to and watch our first 45 minutes or so breaking down all of our NFL Week 1 props and game picks before Sunday's slate gets underway. So good luck with all our picks and all your picks out there that you have going. And we'll be back on Monday to preview Monday Night Football. Howard's Jets are in action, so we'll be breaking that one down. Good luck this weekend, and we'll talk to you guys later.